really want to get back into hospitality.
Oh,
right.
gotcha.
Like that was, I was like, I don't know. But again, this is a huge opportunity, right? To be part of something that North Dakota has not seen, let alone Grand Forks.
Oh, yeah. All right, welcome back to the MAC podcast, where we talk about entrepreneurship, business, real estate, anything that really challenges the conventional thinking and thoughts of others. The theme here is on follow the herd. And today I have a guest that literally does some development, hospitality ownership. He's including restaurants and boutique hotels. Hospitality is a challenging area, so I'm super interested to get his take on this. He's also a North Dakota House of Representatives in District 17, which is my hometown of Grand Forks, North Dakota, and Grand Forks County. So, guys, I'm excited to learn from this entrepreneur. He's got a long history of different businesses. We can learn a lot from Mr. Landon Bahl.
I don't know about that. We'll see. Right.
Now, beefing up
I'm
enough?
still learning.
Well, dude, welcome. Katie was able to connect us, and I'm glad. I'm always interested about this space, and I know you're learning as well. But what do you got going on right now? What consumes your daily activities? Where you at?
Yeah, and I think you worded that question perfectly. What consumes you, right? There's a lot of things that take up anyone's time, entrepreneur's time especially. But I think what's consuming me 100% is right now 322 Hospitality Group. And it's, like you said, great intro. I appreciate it. And it's hospitality. It is, hospitality in general is like 24/7, 365. It doesn't shut off, right?
Yeah.
So that is consuming my
I failed at property management, so
That's a good point. Yeah, true.
I can back you on that.
Yeah.
So what is 322 Hospitality Group? Why was it formed? What do you guys do?
Yeah, absolutely. So 322 HG, or sometimes Hospitality Group gets so long. So 322 HG is really, we're a really small company. We just technically formed like a couple of years ago. But what we did is we ended up rolling in some entities underneath this umbrella, like the parent company, that are not new. For example, Sky's 322 restaurant has been around, formerly Sanders, right? So that's been around for decades, right? So that's not necessarily a new entity. Or another one would be the Opal Event Center, which came online just before COVID hit. Another one being Cloud9 Events. However, at the end of the day, the majority of our entities are fairly young and spry, right? So it's a lot of moving parts. But underneath that, we're adding some franchises, which will open this year. And then we'll have a kind of a development plan for future franchises that we have locations for. And, but I really think what is consuming my time within 322 HG is our hotel that we have. It's under construction right now.
Yep.
Slated for December 1 opening.
December 1. Yeah. Dude, that thing's exciting. So what is consisting of All Van? What's all in there?
Yeah. So the All Van, I think a lot of people ask me, like, tell me about the name. So I have to give the story
let's
of
do
the
it.
name. So All Van, obviously from Grand Forks, went to UND, like aviation is Grand Forks. Grand Forks is aviation, right?
Yeah.
It goes both ways. And so Olive Ann, our hotel is named the Olive Ann Hotel, named after Olive Ann Beach. So if you're at all into aviation or even just know of anything, you may have heard of Beechcraft Aviation, a really awesome company that manufactures planes and really one-of-a-kind planes, like hand riveted, things of that nature. So they have a gorgeous factory down in Wichita, Kansas. So Olive Ann is the wife of, I forget his name, who started Beechcraft, right?
Okay.
And so he passed away, and Olive Ann stepped in to run the company. Don't quote me on this, but it was like something like double and tripled the revenue and made it into what it is today, which is now Textron Aviation, which consists of Cessna, Citation, and Beechcraft, all under the Textron Aviation umbrella. So we thought it'd be so cool to, first of all, name it after something aviation related.
Yeah.
And then second of all, do a female aviator too, which is pretty sweet. Opal Coons, our Opal Event Center, is named after a female aviator too. Wow. I think we're going to pause on the female aviators for now, but I think the all event story is just super cool.
Yeah. And so she took it over from her husband and tripled it.
Yep. And exactly. And so what's crazy is, when I give tours of the hotel, I share this story, and like, she had never ran, I forget her business experience, but she was never heavily involved, if I remember correctly. So she was the one running this company, doing all of this, and she wore these pantsuits. She had fresh flowers on her table, her desk every day, like very prim and proper. Wow. And so that's kind of what we hope to exude, hope the hotel exudes, is that. Wow. And so when you walk in, it's going to have, not really a masculine feel, because obviously it's, a woman aviator. So it's going to be kind of lighter colors, but very like luxurious.
Wow.
So yeah, her story is just cool.
Yeah, that is awesome. And she knows about this?
So Olivan has, she probably does know about it, right? But she passed away back in early 90s, I think.
Okay. So this is a while ago.
It is. But what's really cool is the Beechcraft, they love this. So we actually went down, met with senior level execs, and they are super excited about this.
Oh, okay.
They actually, I can say this now, since if we were going to open in October, we most likely would have had 2 aircraft shut down 4th Street, had a King Air and an Olivan Bonanza special plane there.
Yeah.
Because they are all in on this. They think it's the coolest thing ever. And they'll come up for our grand opening, I think, things of that nature. Yeah. And we may even get, I believe, some of her grandkids here, potentially, because they were sharing this with them, which is just super cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's the story behind the name. It's a cool.
That is
I
awesome.
have to share it. It's unique, especially with this being.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, aviation city.
That's cool. No, what? So the hospitality group. That's your first management project that is under the wing of 322?
Technically, not, well, I should rewind a little bit. So, under 322, we have the restaurant, we have the 2 event centers, and we have the hotel, and then we have Sweetwater's Coffee and Tea, which is a franchise based out of Ann Arbor, Michigan.
Okay. And
then we also have Crisp and Green, which is based out of Wayzata, Minnesota.
Yeah.
And then the hotel. So I wouldn't say first project, but our biggest project for sure.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. So how did you get into, I know you're a couple years into this, but how, what leads up to the hospitality area? I guess tell me a little bit about your story. Where'd you start?
Yeah.
Well, how'd you get to this?
It's interesting in that, like, when I was going to college, I was like, of course, a lot of people work restaurant jobs. They work the fast casual industry, right? Because at the end of the day, that's the most reliable job. They're always out there. They're always available and good hours, right? Especially during school. And so I worked in restaurants since I was 13. My grandpa was a restaurant, entrepreneur. He started Speedway way back in the day, which is interesting.
Oh.
At his
favorite,
especially I think Grand Forks is the only one remaining. But in his heyday, he had roughly a dozen restaurants, and majority of them Speedways. But anyway, so I kind of grew up knowing the restaurant industry at a earlier age, and then working in it. And I was like, never am I gonna like work in the restaurant industry, right? / hospitality. It's just like I don't want to do that. So went to college. And I don't know how I could go many different directions, but I'm just going to quickly go how I got to 322 Hospitality Group.
You take it wherever. Tell us the story. How did we form Landon here?
Okay, all right. Well, you guys don't want to know that, right?
Yeah.
Well, let's backtrack. So during high school and college, I always had my own businesses, but at the same time, those businesses, I needed money to create those little businesses, right? Whether it's a lawn fertilizing company or a brand new concession trailer, a food truck vendor, essentially, right?
Yeah.
Is what I was in high school. And so I needed money to get those side hustles going, right? And so I always worked at the restaurants and then went to UND and loved entertainment and music entertainment. So that's when I was like, you know what? I think that's what I want to do. And so I thoroughly enjoyed the venue world. I had a minor in sport business, so I worked at hockey games. I worked at the Ralph. I worked music festivals, award shows, everything while I was in college. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to move to Nashville and do this music thing and give it a shot.
Yeah.
So my senior year, I got an internship with Country Music Television, CMT, and I was the only one outside of like the Tennessee area to like, because they just get all these Belmont grads and these Music City grads, right? And anyway, this guy kind of went out on a limb and gave this North Dakota kid this internship. So loved it. It was a blast. Loved the industry. It was an internship, you know, great internship. So graduated and moved back to Nashville actually and started working for a company called Creative Artists Agency, also known as CAA. It's the largest agency in the world for comedians, sports, artists, you name it.
Oh, wow.
And hated my life. I had a degree and was making $14 an hour.
Oh, gosh.
And that it had great benefits, but $14 an hour. And at the same time, I had these businesses back home, right?
Oh.
And
you're operating them.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So my PTO, I calculated my PTO like down to the hour, right? Like, you know, and so, and I was just like, gosh, this sucks. I hated my life. I was like, I didn't hate my life. It just was not enjoyable.
Yeah.
I enjoyed being in Nashville. I enjoyed the industry, but my job, I was like, I'm never going to be an agent. That's not the work-life balance I want. That's nothing. And so I moved back home actually, and a mentor of mine, he goes, Landon, he's from Minot, North Dakota originally actually, and Chris Semrau is his name. He goes, Landon, like, I have a possible job opening. And he was or still is the GM of the Oklahoma City Thunder NBA venue down in OKC.
Cool.
So it's like, okay, I could go to this venue. They have a professional tenant there, which is pretty sweet. I was like, all right, but OKC, like, I've never been to Oklahoma. So I was like, you know what? I'm kind of the guy that always if an opportunity comes by, I will take it. Because you're never going to wish that you didn't take that opportunity, right, at the end of the day. So I took it and was there for just shy of 2 years roughly, and I was the booking manager there, which was a blast. So I was booking all the, you know, helping book all the talent. It was a small team of 3 of us doing that. And again, at the same time, I had these businesses, and I was just like, I eventually saw this glass ceiling. It was like, okay, I'm going to become a GM of a venue, but then what do I do from there? Like I'm beholden to, for example, in OKC, it was owned by the city, right? So you're beholden to the mayor and what they want. You know, they are your boss.
Yeah.
You know? And I was like, I don't know where I see this going. So that was March. My last day was March 16th of 2021, right? Right when the pandemic started. What's crazy is we were playing Utah in basketball, and that is the first professional game that got canceled because of COVID. It was on national headlines. And I was like...
You weren't there anyway?
No, I wasn't at the game. So I'm like, oh, I'm out of here, you know? And so I texted my boss. I was like, what is going on? He goes, I don't know. And then it was just domino effect from there.
Wow.
And there was COVID, right? And so... Anyway, went back home, got a job, moved to Grand Forks. I was like, you know what? I loved Grand Forks. I love my time here. I really enjoyed the city. I'm close to Minot, family there. I'm close to Minneapolis. A lot of my good buddies are in Minneapolis area. So I was like, it's, you know, a happy median for me. So so I moved back here, got a job, and eventually people were urging me to run for politics, right? So I was like, do I really want to do that? Like, that's a lot to... And I recall talking to someone, they're like, you're really going to get into that shit show? And this is coming from a politician himself. And I go, well, is it that bad? He goes, nah. I'm like, well, obviously it's not awesome if that's how you started the conversation. Right. You know, because I was asking for his support. And anyway, so I was actually... had to step away from my job because of certain things. There's just conflict of interest. Yeah. And with the entity that I was working for here in town. And so I was like, all right, I really don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to run for District 17, and that doesn't give you a livable wage, right?
Oh, sure. Yeah, for sure not.
Yeah. And so a mentor of mine who I had known for not quite 10 years at that point, I met him while I was in college, Phil Giese, and I sat on the Edgewood REIT board for 2 years. And so he just became a great mentor of mine through the years. And he goes, Landon, I was actually down in Florida for a UND event. I was working for the UND Alumni Association Foundation.
Okay.
And we go out on his boat down there, and he goes, I think I have the perfect job for you. He knew that I was, needing to step down and whatnot. I go, what's that? He goes, well, we're building this hotel, and he goes, I want you to be part of it. And I was like, for a moment, I was like, that's when I was like, okay, do I really want to get back into hospitality?
Oh,
right.
Gotcha.
Like that was, I was like, I don't know. But again, this is a huge opportunity, right? To be part of something that North Dakota has not seen, let alone Grand Forks.
Oh, yeah.
So that's how it started. And then eventually we rolled Skies into this hospitality group.
Sure.
We rolled Cloud9 into it, the Opal Event Center. And then I brought the Crisp and Green franchises to 322 HG. And then I also sought out the coffee franchises, went through a bunch of due diligence on who we want, and who would even say yes, right? So we added those. And then obviously the big part was the hotel.
Yeah.
And that's where we are now. And now it's just like there's no looking back. I think we have an amazing team. And we're just like, I truly think that we can build a phenomenal company off of primarily boutique hotels.
Yeah.
People are looking for that experience. They're sick of the flagships, right? The flagged hotels, your typical Hilton, Marriott, whatever. Because after COVID really showed people that they need to experience more. And I think that's why boutique hotels are thriving in so many cities. And, it's a long story long, Mark. Sorry.
No, dude, I thought it was good. Well, I liked how you ran through, I'm gonna start back at the beginning and kind of unpack this a little bit. You started in the restaurant business and you're ending up there.
Exactly.
But I think not enough people learn about hospitality. I think starting in the restaurant business teaches you a lot. I was in the back. I was the hospitality of the dishwasher.
Yeah.
So I was the not hospitality of anything, more or less just grinding through. And I was a concrete worker after that, so it makes sense. But I think I think almost everyone should learn from working at a restaurant. You learn how service, you learn, how to, you're an entertainer, you're that person. And I'm sure
you're building that experience, right?
Yeah, right.
For them. And at the end of the experience, whatever it is, whether it's a fast casual restaurant, a Burger King, or like a fine dining establishment, like their perception is at the end of the day, like, if the food tastes bad, but they have Mark's a killer server, like they're going to be like, well, it wasn't that bad. So it's experience is everything.
Yeah.
And I think I probably beat a dead horse. And I also agree with you. I think everyone should work in the hospitality industry, especially a restaurant, because you learn to deal with so many different personalities. And obviously in the hospitality industry, at the end of the day, the guest is 99.9% always right, no matter what, right? Like,
right.
It's, they're the boss, right? And so I agree with you. It teaches to people to think on their feet. It teaches them to deal with, like I said, the personalities. I just think that's so crucial.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what you do. And I may be biased because I worked as a server and things of that nature, but I truly think I'm not the only one, and you're not the only one. There's gazillions out there that say that. It is so true.
Yeah. I think that you can do well. I mean, some of these guys, in the young age, I think everyone should be a server. You can make more money than just getting an hourly job. Like your money dictates how good your service is.
Can I jump in on that?
Yeah, let's do it.
So what's funny is I need to be careful how I word this. Well, this past weekend, some of our employees made $55 an hour. $55 an hour. And we are talking servers and bartenders. if you do the math, that's 6 figures. Like, you can make a very livable wage. And what's funny is I was at a boutique investment conference in New York in May, and all the restaurants I go to, all the fine dining ones, it's not someone our age serving people. This guy is like a 60-year-old guy serving. Yeah. Like, serving is that's his life. Yeah. That's his career.
Right.
So it's so interesting to talk about the wages and what you can make. Not only is it killer if you're in college or high school, but like, truly, like, you can make a very good wage.
Oh, some of these guys in Vegas, when we run down there for conferences all the time, it's like, we were asking this guy, I think it was a strip steak joint or whatever, and he made like $350,000 a year. It's like, I'm like, you do this full time. I just ask questions. Of course, we're having old fashions or whatever, and ask good questions. And the guy makes a killing. He's like, I love my job. I work from 4 to midnight, and obviously you got to get used to that. In the hospitality, you make money when people are off.
Exactly. Yeah, right.
So you have to accept that. But
hospitality is nights and weekends.
Yeah.
And if you're fine with that, beautiful. You know?
I think he worked like 2 weeks of the month or something, and then he had 2 weeks off.
That's mind-boggling to me.
Yeah.
But that's the industry in places like that, especially.
Yeah. And I think on the young age side of things, like, you learn how to, people are angry, upset. Like, you learn how to deal with those situations and how to make them happy. Yeah. It makes you feel good as a person, but it's also a skill you're learning. Absolutely. I don't care what you're going to be. You could be an accountant at the city of Grand Forks. You're in the hospitality business. You probably know how to interact with people much better.
The different personalities. And that's why I was just talking to some kids that are in college right now. And I go, these group projects suck, right? Like, they suck. Right. But at the end of the day, they're there for a reason, because, again, you have to interact with so many different personalities. You have to, and that's 100% just like the hospitality industry.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, another thing you mentioned was taking risks. So you went to Oklahoma to work with the basketball team that you had no idea. So what do you think inside you? What makes you step into those risks? You know what I mean? Like, is it fear of missing out, or like, what happens if it is the opportunity, or what's going through your mind when you accepted that?
Yep. I oftentimes I think about what if. Like, what if I didn't do that, or what if I did do that? What if I do that? But at the end of the day, risk does not bother me. It doesn't bother me. For example, I took out this is very small, but I took out a $50,000 loan when I was a sophomore in high school, and lost my butt on this brand new concession trailer and this vending. And so I had this huge loan coming into college. I didn't have a car. But at the end of the day, like, I wasn't salty about it. I was just like, I learned tremendous amounts of a lot of different topics, and, but yet I think for me, it's just like, kind of like, I don't want to say fear of missing out, but like fear of like, what would have happened? What would that have opened up? What door would, that's why I oftentimes dive headfirst, and don't look back. And I think, I talk to a lot of my good friends, and they have all these great ideas, right? Everyone's got ideas.
Entrepreneurs,
yeah. But it's like they never do it. And so it's interesting. I think, obviously you're a serial entrepreneur. Like, I think some people just are able to think less about that risk.
Yeah.
And it's like, and I'm young, so do I have debt? Tremendous debt, right? But like, but at the end of the day, like, I wouldn't be where I am if I did not take those risks, did not, take on that debt. I truly think at the end of the whatever period, like, it will pay off, and like, the fruits of the labor will come to fruition, and it's already happening, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's fear of the, that opportunity that could come out of, whatever it is.
Yeah. I like that. Yeah. So, well, let's just say like there's someone listening to this and they want to open, they could be 30 and worked in a restaurant their whole life, and they want to open their own food truck, but that borrowing that $50,000 is like the only thing that's always held them back. Yeah. You did it as a sophomore in high school. Yeah. What did you learn? What would you ever regret it? Obviously it failed.
Yeah.
Miserably. But do you regret it? It's like,
and that's the thing. Like, no, I look back at the experiences. I look back at having my brother come and help me in Sturgis, South Dakota at the Sturgis bike rally after he came off of a Wii Fest just bender, right? Like, yeah, right. And I like, those are the memories that like, I was like, yeah, it sucked. But at the end of the day, like I learned a tremendous amount. I learned about food quality, food taste, inventory, dealing with, I think I spent $1,200 on health fees. Like that was the first time I learned about all these fees and things. And especially in the restaurant world, the health code, like it's just all of that. So no, I look back at that and I don't for one moment think that I made the wrong decision or regret that.
Okay.
At the end of the day, like that is, it's so far in my past, it's fine. And to someone thinking about doing it, well, first of all, if I'm being completely honest, I would caution everyone going into the restaurant industry, right?
Yeah.
What is it? What is the statistic? I think 50% or more restaurants fail within the first like 3 years.
I know that construction's actually worse than the restaurants.
Really?
Because I've looked at the statistics.
Really?
Yes.
So when you say construction
companies
no
opening,
way.
are actually worse than the restaurant industry. And it's horrible. Like after 10 years, it's like,
is it just because they don't have the skill?
There's like 6%. I think it's just the
management.
I think people can go into a construction company and get one job and then everything else is blue skies. Yeah. And in the restaurant industry, you can be passionate about the restaurant industry and then realize the business side really sucks. And then they fail too.
Absolutely.
I don't know. If one person has a bad experience at your restaurant, how long do they remember that? What's that statistic?
Yep. And how bad does that Facebook or Google review hurt you? It's you can be ruined overnight, or as people say, canceled overnight, right?
I think I don't know, but the survival rates of a construction company are worse. But they're both bad. Okay. They're both equally as bad and challenging.
Okay, the challenging part, I have no doubt about that. Yeah. I don't have any construction experience, but one of my previous businesses, like we would go to a job site, you never know what you're getting yourself into.
Right.
And I remember going to a job site and be like, this will take 30 minutes. Well, 5 hours later, I'm still there and I'm just like, what are we doing? Let's go. Like I'm losing money. But so back to the construction, I heard this, it was probably on an Instagram reel or whatever. Don't quote me on this, for every like 7 construction companies exiting because of, people retiring, there's only 2 entering the market. Yeah. Is that?
Yeah, there's no one going in the construction industry. And I don't know, is it like that for the restaurant industry?
No, because everyone and their mom is opening up the restaurant. Food trucks, the everything, the coffee shops, right? Because it's so easy. It's like
construction's it's getting more regulated. It's getting harder to find margin.
Labor.
Labor. Here's what I do like about my industry. There's a lot of negatives and challenges to it, and it is a very challenging area. I would tell no one to open a construction company. Yeah. Like I would tell any entrepreneur, just avoid that.
So here we are, 2 entrepreneurs, never open up a restaurant, never do anything that we're doing. Right?
If you're gonna do it, find a mentor, right? And hold their hand through that 2-year phase of it's going to be a lot of pain. But in construction, say I do a lot of concrete work. Like 7 years ago, that's what I was. I was a concrete business. But I can call, South and try to get some Southern help or, some different guys out of Texas, and they'll come up and help me for the season. In the hospitality business, now I know there's foreigners, different people that you can get up here, but you're losing more and more people from our type of area. The society that we live in, it's just like people aren't taught hospitality, or
100%.
I don't even have college kids working for me anymore.
Really?
I literally, if I have one, it's a help. But I talk to my other college kids that do work for me, or some football players, and they're like, dude, just most of those kids don't work.
Okay, so on that, I help advise a fraternity on campus, and I'll look at these kids and it'll be like, a lot of them don't have jobs. I'm like, who is paying? How are you able to go to Joe Black's every night, or Bonzer's on Tuesdays, whatever? who's fronting all your bills? Like, what do you mean you don't have a job? Like, you don't, like, you sit. I don't understand that.
Yeah.
I don't, is it those Gen Zers? Katie? I'm just kidding. Yeah. No, Katie's working. Working. And I give my brother crap all the time too, who's Katie's age. But, those people are working, but there's so many that aren't working. That's what I don't understand.
Yeah.
It's like there's no, and this is a whole nother 2-hour topic, right?
Yeah.
It's like there's no drive there.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I was literally talking to some of our guys last night, and they're like, he's like, just like Landon and I, after this podcast, we don't have much to do. We go play rock band. It's like, if that's all we had going on, but it's like, literally, like, he's like, once college is done, they just like try to figure out what to do for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
It's like, my gosh.
Yep. So it's interesting. Like, I, am able to mentor a lot of like college kids. And so when I get someone that I can see the fuel like in them to just like do everything and they're just rocking at it, I'm like, I like latch onto them and I'm like, they're a diamond in the rough these days.
Yeah, they are. Yeah. Doing this podcast and things, I've got to meet some interesting people from the community that have drive to do things. I've met some people that don't want to do anything. And
at the end of the day, the world needs that. Right?
Yeah, that's true.
That's what allows you to do your thing. That's what I mean, not everyone has podcasts. I don't have that's what allows, if everyone was like you and I think we'd be in trouble, right?
Yeah.
Or we wouldn't be having this conversation.
Probably. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So one other thing I wanted to unpack a little bit that I wrote down, I was like, explain to me how you were in business, you're an entrepreneur, you're basically fully business, and then you went to politics. Like, that's almost the opposite end of the earth as a business guy, somewhat, right? Like, controversial topic of politics, right?
Definitely.
So what's the challenges of the two?
I think, first off, obviously the first presidential debate was last night. I don't know if you watched it or not. I did, and it's interesting. There's really one, there's a couple true businessmen that were on that platform last night.
Yep.
And it was interesting to hear them talk because you look on the stage and it's not business people up there that are in politics, right? It is career politicians. And so I don't know. I felt like, I don't want to say I felt an urge I like to give back. And I thought this was a unique way to kind of give back to, get involved, A, and then B, like give back to, first and foremost, our community, and then to the state. But also I thought I will not hide behind, I thought it would be a great networking opportunity, right? Great for business. And I think it has already. So and I don't think that's selfish in saying that. At the end of the day, like, I mean, everyone does things for a reason. That wasn't my number one reason, obviously, but I think it has helped business. But it's interesting when I sit in the state house, there aren't many businessmen in there, and it's we were probably, I don't know, close. We just obviously came out of session end of April, early May, sessions every odd year, and so we're almost completed with a session, and I'm sitting in one of our committees, and the guy goes, a fellow legislator goes, like, he's a businessman through and through, right?
Okay.
This is his first term. He goes, "We're not making money here, Landon." And I'm like, that is 100% true. Like, my focus is not on my business. It is on all these issues, all the constituents, and he goes, when you're in here, you're not thinking about money. And I'm like, that's 100. And, he goes, I've probably lost money, being here. And so it's unique in that I think we need more businessmen and women in politics. I'm getting on a tangent here. I'll try and reel it back in. But I think politics needs to be more, for example, our state and local government needs to be more open to people having these other jobs and not being the politicians, I farm in the summer so I can be a legislator for 40 years. I don't think that's good for our state. And so it's interesting. I think business and politics is good.
Yeah.
I don't think there's necessarily a negative there, but for me, I primarily saw the pros of it, right? And so I was like, okay, I can jump in. I think I can do this. I think I can navigate the waters. I'll try and keep my name as clean as possible. Right nowadays with social media, right? Again, you can one article and the entire state reads it, and we all know how journalism is done these days. Even in small town North Dakota, right? Like it can be that way too. So you have to be very careful. It'll be very interesting. Obviously, I serve a 4-year term, and so come, the end of that 4-year term, I'll really have to sit down and evaluate it, know, and think about, well, first of all, what did I do for my community and state, and what did I potentially lose doing that over the 4 years, because it's a lot to grasp and a lot to handle at times. It's interesting though. I can only imagine. I know a few people from Grand Forks that do it, and it's very time. It's usually problem filled, or usually the only thing that comes is a problem. Well, we were talking about personalities, right? You get 100 plus people in this room, like you're a lot of different personalities, right? And sometimes it can be East versus West. It can be Grand Forks versus Fargo. It can be Minot versus Bismarck. How do you navigate those waters? It's a beast.
Everyone has their own bias, and I'm sure from their district or their area and whatever.
Absolutely.
No, that makes total sense. So what? Maybe let's talk Grand Forks a little bit. Since that's your district and Grand Forks County. Where's Grand Forks headed? What's your aim? You mentioned that over your 4 years you're gonna look and see what you helped, or I know the business side of what you're doing yourself, but what's some of your goals, or what's your vision?
So I think well, there's a couple different ways. Are we talking, do we want to go just where I see Grand Forks, just in general?
Let's start general, and then how we expand on that.
I think Grand Forks, I will talk to so many people, whether they're my friends or just UND people that I went to college with, and they'll give me so much crap. They'll give me crap for living in Grand Forks, like not getting out of that college town. And I will fire back at them like as fast as before they can even finish their sentence, right? Because I'm like, no. Like, first of all, I tell them, I'm like, I left and I did go live in 2 other states, and the grass is not greener on the other side. I truly like think that, right? Like it's such a old school statement, but it's so true on so many different things. And for people, like, I don't want to live in Minneapolis. No, I hate the traffic. I like some of the communities. I hate their politics. I love their lakes, so there's some pros and cons, but at the end of the day, I want to raise my family in North Dakota, right? So I just figured Grand Forks is the city, and I love UND. I love being involved. I love mentoring these college guys that I host leadership retreats for our fraternity. Oh, cool. I love that part of it, and I love being involved with my alma mater. I won't say that. My high school, I went to a private school. I need to be careful what I say. I don't talk to any of those people anymore.
Yeah. Okay.
All my friends, all my memories, they're all from college,
Yeah.
And so this is home for me. And so as I talk to people and they give me crap for living in Grand Forks, I'm like, no, like you were there as a college student, right? Everything sucked.
Yeah.
Most of the time, people were broke. You were working a part-time job that was probably not the most thrilling, right?
Yeah.
And you were studying all the time while trying to, party all the time, right? Like, as a student, you're juggling a lot, and so I tell them, I'm like, I've been able to take myself out of that and really get involved with organizations or whatnot, and truly make it a home outside of like that college life. And so that's what I share with people. And at the end of the day, we have brutal winters, right? They suck. But I love our spring, I love our fall, and I love our summers.
Yeah.
And I'm 3 hours away from the lake that I call home, right?
Yeah.
But Grand Forks I also tell people, I graduated in 2016. You go down, go on University, it's a completely changed since 2016.
Yeah.
And I tell people, you guys would not even recognize this campus. We have a gorgeous campus, and we have a community that embraces UND. And we have jobs in this community that are very well paying. You look at Grand Sky, what's happening in the UAS sector, you can get a job. Their average salary out there is like 120. It's nuts.
Right.
And they're going to have over 900 people here in the next few years. You look at our manufacturing, we have some amazing manufacturers in this city. And I think we have great housing here, you know. I don't want to say if it's affordable, it just depends, you know.
Yeah.
But that's right in line because I don't want to say we're booming, but we are growing.
Yeah.
And Grand Forks is being put on the map for so many different things, and truly, I think the DoD, everything with that, and the UAS sector, I truly think that will continue to be the driving force of Grand Forks. So I look at Grand Forks, we're expanding west, we're expanding north, slightly, but we're expanding south. I think are we a Fargo? No. But we live in Grand Forks because we don't want to live in Fargo, right?
Yeah.
It's an hour away. We can always go there.
Yeah.
So I'm very bullish on Grand Forks, and I love it, and I'm happy to call it home. And I think we're just at the brink of, some big stuff in the next few years for sure.
No, that's good. That's a great way to put Grand Forks. Yeah, you you hit the nail on the head. Why people always ask the question, and then you have to answer. I still view things in miles here, not minutes.
Exactly.
And and I can get across town in 10 minutes, and that's why I live here. And it's very stable. I think your ag community heavy. When times are tough, we're talking recessionary in the economy. The
we're
farmers,
insulated.
Yeah, we are. It's very stable here, and I think that's why people continue to develop in the Red River Valley and in this area for sure.
Definitely.
So, well, let's see here. I was going to talk. You had a family is very important to you as an entrepreneur, and you're now into politics. How do you juggle some of this? What's some of the ways that you do that?
Yeah, I think for me, family is, if you don't have someone that you call family, I don't know what you have, right? You have nothing, in my opinion, right? And at the end of the day, that's the foundation for everything, right? And so I oftentimes I'll head back to the lake on the weekends and spend it with my mom and my brother and whatever other brothers. I have 4. I'm one of 5 boys. So I have four other brothers. And so I'll spend it with whoever is there. And then I truly think if you don't have a solid family life, I don't think you can be successful. I think let me take that back. You still can be. I think it makes it more difficult if you don't have that foundation of family. Because at the end of the day, they're your backbone. They're the only people that will technically always be there. This is very cliche what I'm saying, but I don't care. It's truly what it is. And I've experienced some, family medical issues, and unfortunately not myself, but other people in my family. And so I'm like, you can't take these people for granted. Right. And when you're so close to, heaven's doorsteps, it's like, it's that's why family for me will always be, and I think that's ultimately why I think I said it earlier. That's why I moved back, right? My family and friends were here, and I would buy a $700 ticket out of Nashville to come back for my mom's birthday or something that, right? That's, and I was just like, it's not worth being so far away.
Sure.
It's one of my brothers puts it really well. He goes, you look at your parents, right? How old are they, right? Especially if you're not in the same city.
Yeah.
and you think about their longevity of their life, right? If they're going to live to 90 and they're 60 right now, if you see them on the major holidays and their birthdays, Mother's Day or Father's Day, and you add all that up, you're like, oh my gosh, like I'm only going to see them X amount of times before they pop. And this is like kind of, dark, but it's true. Like it's, and it's like, no, I want to see them much more than whether it's 50 times or whatever. Like that's not enough.
Right.
So that's how I look at that. I'm like, life is so precious, and I think building family foundation and keeping it strong is the foundation for everything. Success, business, you name it.
Yeah, I've seen that kind of that same comparison with like I don't know if you have any kids, but
no, I don't.
You spend the most time with them, of course, when they're young, and then the chart kind of goes, it just trickles down, and then they hit college, and it's like they're gone. You know what I mean? Like then you'll see them whatever amount of times they come visit you.
Yeah.
How do you, how do you keep strong ties to your family? Like you said four brothers?
Four brothers, yeah.
4 brothers, and then your parent. What do you guys do to actively keep that strong?
Well, I think it's challenging. No doubt it's challenging, right? Like,
you have a lot going on.
Yeah, well, at the end of it, everyone's got a lot going on, right?
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
So I don't want to compare my personal business life to anyone else's, because theirs may be super busy and it's busy for them, right? And that's fine. So I just think making time. At the end of the day, that's what you have to do, right? We make time to build our businesses, to pursue our hobbies, our other side hustles, whatever. Like, make time for family. It is that simple. And so I just make time. Call people, text people. I have a brother that's in Cairo school down in Davenport. Well, that's kind of challenging, right? Like, try getting to Davenport from Grand Forks, North Dakota. Like,
it's not going to happen.
It's brutal, or you're going to pay a lot.
Oh,
right?
Sure. Yeah.
Or it's a not fun car drive. But so that's where I think you just have to be intentional about building and keeping those relationships. And I don't have a father. He passed away, unfortunately. But so it's like, okay, I have one parent. Like, I'm going to do everything to keep that tie with her as strong as possible, right? Because that's what matters. Yeah.
So the intention, I like the intention, because you get a lot of connections, and I'm sure with the politics, there's lots of different contacts, and I think I do not the best job with keeping in front of everyone. How do you find yourself being intentional? Like, are you sending these messages? Are you timing in your head like, hey, I'm going to hit 5 people today? Or is there a time every day? I hear a lot of different stories on this, and it's like, I haven't found one that stuck with me.
No, that's, to be honest, I don't think I have it figured out. I don't, right? I don't have a lot of things figured out. Lay that out for sure. Like, I was listening to something the other day, and they're like, wake up and send a text to 3 people, or be intentional about it. And I go, okay, well, could I start doing that? I was thinking about it. I'm like, well, okay, Mark's a good buddy of mine. I'm going to be like, what am I what am I going to say? Right. If I'm not like, I don't text just to text.
Okay.
Right. Like,
how are you? Like, whatever. So like, how's the day going?
Right. And it's like, okay, or I could just like send a text that doesn't require a response.
Yeah.
So that was just interesting. And this person was doing 3 to 5 people a day, which I was like, wow, that's intense. I don't know. I'd be texting strangers that are in my contact list that I haven't talked to in years, right? So I think I don't have the answer there.
Yeah.
But how I do it is I just make sure holidays, I'll text a majority of my buddies, or I'll see something on Facebook, I'll check in with them, or my family, I'll check in with them. I put on a lot of, as I'm sure you do too, I have a lot of windshield time, especially going to and from Bismarck, or to and from the lake, which is 3 hours from here. So that's oftentimes where I will spend my time, because it kills me to sit on the phone in front of a computer, because I'm usually doing a task.
Okay.
Right.
Yep.
And I can multitask, but I know that I'm not going to be doing the task at 100%, because I'm focusing on this conversation, and I should be dialed into that conversation as well, right? For it to be meaningful interactions. And so I will oftentimes spend my time on the phone while I'm driving. And that's where I can truly, zone out on the road and zone in on that conversation. Yeah. So that's how I do it. But it's just LinkedIn, right? LinkedIn is like my social media. That is where I spend my time. And I joke for a long time I would spend more time on LinkedIn than Facebook all the time, right? Or Instagram. And so if I see something like someone gets a new job, like I'll check in with them and be like, hey, congrats on the new job. Even if it's just like an acquaintance from college that I enjoyed, in a group project or whatever, or a long lost, fraternity brother or whatever. That's what I do. Okay. But I will be honest in that I need to hone in what that strategy looks like, because it needs to get better. Okay. Yeah. I've read a book and The Hard Way by Brad Lee. So I don't know if you follow him on Instagram. No. He's a very real talker, but he said, in his book, he said there's, I make 5 points of contact. So kind of like you mentioned, he does like 2 customers, 2 friends, and then a family member every day. And he's like, it's just sparking. It is random conversation. Maybe the customers, I think he tries to spark up old one, whatever, and just try to continue the conversation. So he's including family and business, together. Yeah, family. Yeah, he's got friends, 2 of them, and then I think he's got the family members just 1. I suppose you can get through your family a little quicker, but then customers 2, and he's hitting up conversation. To me, it almost seems overwhelming though. Like you're holding 5 conversations together, and then trying to be deliberate, like every day doing that. Like, how is it sustainable? Like, can you right. That's where I even 1 a day might be a place to start, right? Like you don't want to start for the moon, but I tried to do the 5 thing. It is challenging. I wouldn't be able to keep up, right? Yeah. And especially if that conversation keeps going in the text, like they keep, and you're like, this wasn't my intent. I've opened the door too far. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So so it's interesting that you haven't found anything either. Yeah. It's, I think it shows that it's that challenging. Right. Yeah. Well, how many deals you're working as an entrepreneur? It's not like you have 1 deal on the table and you're just like focused on like, this is my deal today. Exactly. And then, I think I need to, it's different. I think it's different for the people that have that 40-hour-a-week job. Yeah. Right. Like, and it's rinse and repeat for them every single day, rinse and repeat. And so I think if you're someone like that, you can do that. But if you're a true entrepreneur, you're always thinking about that next deal, right? And so I don't think it's that easy. Yeah. Some of the best guys that I know, like Bradley's a very big entrepreneur, but all these guys, they like compress the window like from 10 to 2 is like when they work, like physically, like emailing and all that. Yeah. And then they leave all the morning for the family and then all the afternoon to either do, whether it's social media or catch up with people. And that's, because entrepreneurs, you could just work you just never stop. 100%. You don't have to. It's like hospitality. Yeah. Just do it all day long. Can answer problems because someone needs more goose down feather pillows. Exactly. And, maybe you'll get that hint soon. But I mean, exactly. Yeah. That'll be my nightmares. They're coming. They're coming. I know. And you mentioned talking about, and another big one to me, I guess, moving on a little bit, is building personal board of directors. And I think you're meant, those are mentors, whether they're family or someone you reach up to. How have you kind of built that? Because I think that's a huge thing as an entrepreneur. I think that's one of the biggest things. Okay. If not the biggest. I am big on mentors, and that's kind of why I've probably beating a dead horse, but like I talked about mentoring like college kids, because I got mentored in high school and college and whatnot. And I'm like, I gotta, it's my time to help pay it forward, even though I'm not, certainly not a superstar in anything, but like, I think I have a little bit of knowledge on certain things that I can help someone get to that next step. Right. And so that's kind of how I feel, or I feel I need to do that because people have helped me. So I think, and I forget where I heard that. I don't think it was a national like entrepreneur, like spokes, whatever. I think it was just someone locally. I was at something. They're like, build your board of directors. I was like, yeah, we hear this board of directors for all these companies, right? And I'm like, build your personal one, and that stuck with me. I was like, yeah, like instead of just calling them mentors, like this is my, a board of directors is typically comprised of people for certain reasons, right?
Yeah.
You have Mark on this board of directors because he knows construction inside and out. You have Landon because he's kind of knows hotels, right? Or whatever, right? And you have your mom or your dad because they'll ground you a little bit, or they'll reel you in. And so I think you put all of these people together and it's the perfect storm, in a hopefully a positive manner.
Right.
And for what you're trying to do. And so ever since the beginning, I think I built mine, like music entertainment was a big thing for me. So I found my mentors in the music world, and I think you have to seek out those mentors. They're not going to come to you,
right?
And for example, Phil Geezy, I don't know how many letter of recommendations he's written for me. I'm sure he's like, oh, another one for Landon. And like, I didn't ask him. I'm like, well, Phil, you're my mentor. You're gonna keep writing. I'm gonna keep asking you or whatever. So I think I don't ask them to be my mentor. I think I've heard some podcasts that are like, well, ask them, and I'm like, they're going to tell you. You're going to get the hint if they don't want to be your mentor.
Yeah.
Right. So I truly think that's been one of the pivotal things that I've done. I've been able to create, and I've been grateful for these mentors that have given me their time and talent. And so I need to continue to build mine. So like as I move into new industries, hotel being one, like I don't have a hotel mentor yet, like, of course, we have consultants and stuff like that, but I truly want like a good friend that I can call up and be like, okay, what should we do with this problem? Like, I don't have that yet. So as I move into different entities and whatever throughout my life, like, I think that's where I'm like, okay, I better add another person to that board of my personal board of directors.
Yep.
And so I try and share that as just because it clicked with me, and so I love it. So I try to share that.
Well, I think people think of mentors, younger generation, they get attracted to real estate or something, and then like, okay, I got to find a mentor for that. But I think most of the misconception is that one mentor is like does everything. Yeah. It's like, well, that mentor doesn't do health.
Right.
You need a new mentor if you're going to get fit, physical, and
100%. Yeah.
Your faith one. That's a different mentor. Great that point. Could be your pastor. But I like the board of directors because that does tell you that it's plural. It's not one guy that's going to tell you it all. And
exactly. Yeah. And nor should you. I don't think anyone should take advice from one person, right? Yeah. Because like, you don't know you don't know sometimes, and same with them. Like that's, I think that's why companies are successful. That's why, businesses are successful because they have all these minds working together. Mm-hmm. But with this, your board of directors being your mentors, like you're the one that has to bring everyone to the, to the table. And when I say to the table, like I just mean, talking to everyone and getting different input. And so, yeah.
Well, there's some homework for people listening. Go and find your board of directors, or think about it, your family, your faith, your health, your wealth, whatever it is. Build your board of directors. It's not the same person in all of them.
Yeah.
It's going to be different.
Definitely.
And it should be.
Yeah.
And would you have gotten anywhere without your mentors? You would have gotten somewhere, but did they help you get?
I am in the role that I'm in, and I love my job. I've since I've started this job, like my work is not work, and I can say that 100% because I love what I do. Are there some days that like are more challenging than others? Certainly, right? But I would not have been in this job that I love if it weren't for one of my mentors, right?
Yeah.
If I would not have made the connection with him or her, I would not. It took work too, right?
Yeah.
Like, and when I was living in Nashville or OKC and I came back to Grand Forks, I would ask that person out for dinner or coffee, just to catch up. So it took work, but I truly don't think, and I don't consider myself I have a lot to learn and a tremendous amount to continue to do before I consider myself successful.
Yeah.
So I just think to where I am today, which is, 8 years, 7-8 years post college.
Yeah.
I don't think I would be where I am without my mentors today, truthfully.
Yeah. No, me either.
Yeah.
I mean, I was in the concrete industry and just maybe a little more egotistical because I thought I was the best concrete guy, but I didn't actually start making any money till I asked for help. So don't be that guy.
Yeah.
Just ask for help. People are willing to help. Mentors may not even cost you anything. If they do,
exactly,
you're really reaching for the stars and you need them, and it's worth their time and your time. So, what's one of your best investments and your worst investments? I got a few clock questions here for you.
Yeah. So, oh boy, worst investment. It's going to be my first, really my first big entrepreneur journey, which was that concession trailer when I was in high school. That was horrible. Everything went bad, so that was by far my worst investment. Lost my butt on it and learned a lot, but that was worse. Best investment, I'd have to, I grew up on a lake, every summer. So I think I started a dock and lift company, which a lot of people when I was down south, I would explain, they're like, well, what's that? I'm like, well, our waters freeze up there, so we have to remove our docks and move them in the fall, put them in the spring. And so I think I just got in at the right time where people were heavy into surfing, and especially Lake Metagoshi is my home lake.
Okay.
And surf boats are a dime a dozen. There's so many there. And I got in at the right time, and I think that's truly been one of my most worthwhile adventures. However, I'm very optimistic on. I think a year from now I'll say boutique hotel.
Oh.
And I hope a year from now I'll be, we'll be in design for our Bismarck hotel.
Cool.
So that's
I like that.
That's where I'm at.
I like that.
There.
Well, if those surf boats are dime a dozen, we do luxury storage. So if you think having 3 to 4 acre sites down there where we can combine, you let me know.
Absolutely.
What's your biggest fear? It's always on the spot.
This was, and gosh, was this a question too? I think, didn't I write something down for this? I don't even remember what I wrote down.
Just whatever comes to mind.
Yeah, I think it's just the missing opportunities is what I would say. And I think that's why I take as many opportunities that come my way, even if they're wild, like moving to Oklahoma City or going into politics, or hotels or you name it, or the jewelry industry, one of my businesses. Right? That was anyway, it's a whole nother story. But I think just missing out on opportunities, and however that missing out on, I think it's kind of twofold, because that missing out on opportunities and not being where I want to be at a certain age, and that's health wise. That could be health wise. That could be, for me, it's health wise. It's financial wise. It's asset wise. I was just I can do better, and then I'm not where. So that's my fear. And I think fear of not being able to provide for people. I don't have a family. I'm not even married yet. But when I do have a family, I'm going to have to, I don't want anything to be like a hardship. Right? Yeah. So that's a
good one, man. I like that. But I got one last question, then we'll figure out how to find you more. What does unfollow the herd mean to you?
Yeah. No, that's I was briefed on this question. I'm not going to lie. So I have thought about it, but there's so many different ways a person could go with this.
Okay.
However, I brought it back to my family is what I did. I think, so let's see, I think my father passed away, and then I had a brother who went through cancer twice and was on death's doorsteps several times, had a bone marrow transplant, and now he's doing successfully well.
Oh, awesome.
The healthiest in my family probably, and in Cairo school, right? At
cool.
Palmer. And so I look at those three experiences and I was like, I think we're put on earth to do. We're amazing human beings. The human body. I've seen it firsthand how amazing it is, and how it can go through such tragedy and then come out like unscathed, right? And so I was like, okay, that's obviously God doing His work, and so I'm like, we're put on this earth to do extraordinary things, right? Because humans are extraordinary, right? So I think about that, and going through those three kind of medical whatever situations with my family, I think it put my life, my outlook, into overdrive. I would say, and overdrive in a way that take every single opportunity. Take every opportunity, because at the end of the day, a lot of people don't take those opportunities, and they sit and they think, they talk about things, and they just talk, right? They don't ever pursue anything. And I look at my dad, I think I owe it to the people that aren't here anymore to do extraordinary things, right? That's why we're here. We're not here just to sit on our butts and just do the same old every day. And I'm thankful that I feel like I'm wired differently in that regard, to where my mindset is in overdrive. And I think unfollowing the herd, that's that. And I owe it to the people that were almost to where they couldn't possibly unfollow the herd, even if they wanted to, right?
Right.
And so that's why we're here. And I would say just taking those opportunities and really being extraordinary. That's the goal.
I like that, man. No, that's good. I got a question for you too. So this All of Ann's going to open December 1st.
Yeah.
You let Jen and I shoot a video of an experience video in there that we could put on YouTube?
Yeah.
We got okay. We're going to do that. We're going to plan that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was thinking about that, and it would be good content for us and a good experience for Grand Forks.
Yeah.
And it's basically the only experience like that in Grand Forks.
And truly, so we'll have to even do a hotel tour. I think we give these tours, and people walk in and they know that it's going to be boutique luxury. And then they walk in, they see the gorgeous tile. They're like, they see the floor to ceiling windows, and they're like, this is 10 times better than what I thought.
Yeah.
So I truly, obviously I'm biased. There's bias here, right? But I truly think there's not going to be another experience like the All of Ann Hotel until we open up the Theodore, which will be in Bismarck. Until we open up that hotel, that'll rival it, obviously. But I don't think there is going to be another experience that's like the All of Ann Hotel from the moment you step out of your vehicle, have it valeted, to the moment you leave. I truly think it'll be spectacular and hold me to it. That's where, again, going back to finding that right talent and the people that have that personality, right? It's going to be so challenging for us, but I think we'll get there. So I'd love that.
Yeah, a late November maybe video plan. We'll plan for that.
No, that'd be fun.
We'll come over and burn it. So how do we find out more about Landon?
Yeah,
I'd like to know. And where are you all at? You spend time on LinkedIn. I like that.
Yeah. The LinkedIn is kind of it's interesting. LinkedIn's where I'm at primarily. I am on Facebook and Instagram, but I'm not super active on there. I'll post a story here and there. But yeah. You can just find me on LinkedIn.
Well, you're going to be on there a lot when you're doing the hospitality game.
Yeah, exactly.
Or, you'll have a team of people that are on there a lot, I should
definitely.
say. So, well, man, I'm excited. I appreciate having you on.
Thanks for having me.
We're going to be on video soon. I'm looking forward to November now.
Yes, All of Ann Hotel. Let's do it.
All right. Thanks, Landon.
Thank you.